Hello, welcome everybody to another episode of NEF It Podcast. We're here with Freddie, and our guest for today is going to be Vivian. I'll let her introduce herself in a little bit, but I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in with us today, taking the time out of your busy day to share with us and be with us and see what we have in store for you. So like I said, we would like to introduce Vivian today, and I'll let her introduce herself for you guys.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Vivian Escalon. I am originally from way South Texas, border town called Hidalgo. If you've ever heard of the Rio Grande Valley, that's where I'm at. It's been a journey, honestly, getting to where I'm at now and coming into College Station, meeting Neff, for sure. It's been like a whole journey in its own, especially with my hair. But here we are. He's definitely upped my game with the hairdo. But yeah, fresh fade. Honestly, today, right?
Awesome.
Yeah. Flew in from California, mind you. We'll get into that.
Awesome, yeah.
But
California just for this? Nah, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Came to
honestly,
visit friends and family, but
but
when you're in town, you know you have to make a pit stop at Neff Shop.
For sure, yeah.
So that's always a must. That's what I really appreciate from all the people that I been able to cut from then and now. Every time they're in town, they take the time out of the day, either just to pop in and say hi, which I'm very appreciative, or even to get a haircut, even though they might have to wait 30 minutes or an hour. Some of them like just to hang with us and chill with us and enjoy the shop, man. So I appreciate that from everybody. And like Vivian said, she came in from California. But before we get into all of that, my co-host Freddie has never met Vivian. So we're going to dive into the roots and how Vivian became Vivian.
For sure.
I didn't know you were from the Valley. I'm from Elsa, so we're from the same hometown.
Nice.
Yeah.
So people that are not from the Valley, real quick, Hidalgo, from where we live, is still like a 45 to an hour drive. And now with the construction in McAllen and all that, don't even try, to be honest. It's crazy. But the Valley is super huge. If you've never been, I recommend everybody to at least visit once to see what it's like. Because I feel like a lot of people have a different view on the Valley. So I feel like
everybody thinks it's negative. Like, oh, are we going to get stabbed? Or
Oh, it's
like,
so
is
close
it
to
really,
Mexico.
Yeah, is it really that bad?
But honestly, the people that I've met and have visited, they all got pretty good stories, and half of them want to move there, to be honest. So It's cool hearing everybody's background. But before we get into that, we'll go back into the beginning. So Vivian, where'd you start off at school and all that good stuff? What were you into?
For sure. So actually, I'm kind of first gen, almost. My dad is technically before me for like college and stuff, but he was born in Monterrey, Mexico, and was an migrant worker. So he has his own story. My mom was born here, but definitely like had a lot of like being raised in Mexico. And so that was like her own story as well. But they actually both went to Hidalgo High School, and that's where I went to high school as well. So like it was really cool being in their footsteps in a way.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, because I was like, you guys went here? And they're like, it's literally the same school. They haven't changed
That's
at
how
all.
old the schools are.
Yeah.
same bricks, like
No, yeah, but
Your mom's signature on the same
oh,
table.
for sure.
all they
Like-
change is the football stadiums. That's it.
Yeah, no, everything, they were like, that's where we went. And like some of my uncles went there too, which
That's
was
awesome.
really cool. Yeah. But for those of you who don't know, Hidalgo is about a 5-minute drive from the border. So we could just drive there, walk over into Mexico. I could see Mexico from my backyard.
You can literally see it.
Yeah, like I could see the buildings, I could see the lights. That's how close we were. And yeah, a lot of people were like, oh, is that safe? And it's like, we were in Mexico like every Saturday.
Yeah.
We would
walking
just,
or going there.
Exactly. We would just walk over, go get some tacos, go like shop.
For cheap too.
Yeah, seriously.
And that's because moving to Cali, going back to the Valley, you think that's cheap. But going to Mexico,
So I grew up there, and actually I think until I was 3, I lived in Las Milpas. For Valley people, you guys know where that is. But that's where my dad grew up as well. And then one of my uncles actually helped build our like childhood home. So it was my mom's brother.
Isn't there like a meat
So-
market, like Juniors or?
Yeah, Juniors. I
Yeah.
literally lived like right there.
Okay, so that neighborhood, I have two
Yeah.
friends that live through there.
Damn, that's
and I
awesome.
had a friend that lived like if you're driving, like going to Mexico, but Juniors is on the left side,
Yeah.
the neighborhood and all that stuff on the right side.
Yeah, I lived like, so juniors is here.
Yeah.
There was like another entrance, like,
Yes.
maybe like honestly, like 2 minutes away. It was so quick to get
exactly
there.
what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I was right there. So,
You know,
That-
Eric's lives there.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, you got to see it. He came to A&M too.
oh, nice.
yep.
Yeah.
Now he's in San Antonio, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Shit, my parents too.
No way.
Yeah, they just
That's
moved
nice.
like 2 years ago. But yeah, that's where I grew up, and I went to like literally all of Hidalgo's school districts. So like Hidalgo High School is like where my parents went, I went, and so it was really nice like being in the same area that they grew up in, and like all my grandparents were like really close.
Did you have the same
and-
teacher?
I don't think so. No.
Hey, no, but
Crazy,
sometimes
Yeah.
it's like, you're still here?
Yeah, I know.
Or they'll compare you and be like, nah, that was my mom.
No, I never had that, but a lot of people knew my parents.
Oh, okay.
So it was nice to like have that sort of connection. And I feel like that's really what the Valley was about. It was
How
just
big
like
was your
a lot of
graduating
family.
class?
180, 181.
You guys like a
Okay.
2A or 3A? Do you remember?
We went back and forth between 3A and 4A.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it literally depended on the year.
Yes.
Like how many
Because
people.
sometimes
A
it
lot of
switches.
them are like that.
Yeah.
No, because one time we played football with them, and then like the next year it was like 3A, and I was like, wait, what? Like,
Wait, where were you?
I'm 2013.
From Hidalgo?
No,
No,
from Elsa.
Oh, from out.
Yeah,
True,
yeah.
you said that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we were 4A, right? When we
We
went
were
to,
4A.
we
and
were
then when we
4A.
left, it was 5A.
it was 5A.
Oh wow. No, we never got to 5A.
Not
We were
yet.
too
yet,
small.
yet.
Luckily,
I
we didn't
know,
play against
right?
5A because those guys were a lot bigger. Shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Championships are a lot harder when you
Yeah.
play
Were
5A.
you involved in anything in high school? Like,
Yeah, I was in a lot of sports. So honestly, from the moment I could walk more than 15 feet, my parents were like, "You're in sports." Automatically.
Was it soccer the sport of choice for the family, or was it
Actually,
something
no.
else?
It was baseball.
Oh, that's
Nice.
good.
Yeah, that was the first sport that they were like, "Hey, we're putting you in,"
Nice.
that I can remember.
Okay. You
And
just start off
so-
at t-ball and
Yeah.
then softball and then
Yeah.
my dad
Yeah.
hit me with a baseball when I was a kid.
Oh
That
my
was the
God.
first sport I started in.
Damn.
Bad
Dad.
spirits.
And I joined again in high school, and I
Yeah.
was on the C team.
On
But
the
I was
s-
so happy.
yeah, hey.
Yeah, there was a C team.
Yeah, I know. I was like, "There's a C team."
It got cut within like
C is for cut.
See me gonna get
No
cut next
offense,
semester.
So they were like, "Oh, you're gonna be on the B team now," and I was like, "Shit, I made it."
Yeah, hey,
funny.
we're here.
I was like a senior.
You're like, yes, we get to go on trips sometimes.
I know.
No, they didn't.
Oh,
It was only
dude.
starters.
Damn.
Uh,
Nah. But yeah, I remember baseball being the first sport I ever played.
do you remember a certain game or your certain rival team that you were
Nah,
like, every
dude.
time we play them, it's like, no?
Not from like when I was a kid. When I was in high school.
Well, that's why, like in high school, like, was
Oh.
there a team where you're like, oh, here we go against Edinburgh North or something?
because it's like softball in high school.
Honestly, okay. Basketball high school, I would say it was either Port Isabel or Zapata.
Damn, that's
Yeah.
crazy because the
Yeah.
distance between y'all.
Oh,
Well, Port
insane.
Isabel's 3A, or at the time, yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
crazy because if you're playing against them, you got to drive like 3
We
hours
yeah,
just to
literally.
get there, dude.
But it was always like really good games. And then with softball, it was Rio Hondo.
Okay.
They were always like
But also, that's far too.
exactly.
Yeah, it is far.
It was like
That's
everything
closer to
close
Port
by
Isabel.
was like fine, but as soon as we get like past the hour drive,
That's honestly one thing I miss about the Valley Sports is that even like on every local news, they show the highlights to every single game and
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. That's like they're real involved in the Valley game. So shout out to the Valley for that.
for
Did you
sure.
have a favorite sport or
Basketball.
basketball?
See, I
Nice.
started in baseball for like so many years. Like I went through T-ball, coach pitch. I was about to enter like actual like players pitch, and then my mom was like, "Hey, you're old enough to play basketball at like the youth center," and so she was like, "I'm forcing you to play basketball. You don't have a choice. We're going." And I don't remember this because I was younger, but she said that I cried and was like, "I don't want to play basketball. Like I don't know. Yeah, like I don't know how to do that. Like I know baseball." And she was like, "I don't care. You're playing." So she took me. I was so upset, but after the first like season that I played, I fell in love. Like after that, I was like, I don't want to play baseball. I want to play basketball.
Do you think it was the coaches? Do you think it was the friends? Do you think what made you change your mind about it?
Honestly, the game.
The game.
The game is so good.
So you got competitive. and-
Yeah.
Like understanding it, like it's not just
Yeah.
running back and forth.
No, there's so much to
Yeah.
it, and I think it was so much more teamwork than I experienced, I guess, in baseball.
Okay. Yeah.
Like it's so much more connected constantly
Well, I mean, because you
versus
rely on them.
Yeah.
Because they're on the other side, so you're
For
like
every
defense has to
second,
step
yeah.
up.
Well, you have to pass, like.
And in
Yeah.
baseball,
It's
it's just you concentrating. It's just you and the ball, you and the ball.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to put together. 'Cause-
for sure. And I like to this day I haven't let go of the mindset of teamwork.
Nice.
Like, and it's carried me through so many obstacles to where I'm like, I am not alone in this.
Yeah.
No matter what I'm doing, like there's always other people that can help me, that I can help them as well.
That's great.
And it's like, you know, you're never alone, no matter what.
And that's why I feel like you were a perfect candidate for this podcast. Because I'm like, man, that's what I love about my clients. Because like I get to really interact with you guys and learn honestly a little bit more of you than a lot of your parents sometimes, or some of your friends, or just by looking at you, I could read you and be like, hey, what's going on? It's just to cheer you up. You know what I mean? So for me, like just seeing that one-on-one and you sharing me some experiences you had and you being open about it, that's what I love about it. Because I feel like a lot of people that are timid or a little bit too quiet, I feel like knowledge is power. And if you have, the more knowledge you have on anything in life, on anything, it doesn't have to be education, it doesn't have to be careers. In anything in life, honestly, knowledge in anything is power. So I feel like just you sharing that is awesome for you, because I feel like you open up a lot more doors and you open up a lot more people that can come to you and people could relate to you a lot better. And I feel like you just carrying that and people being around you can feed off of that, and which is awesome. I really like that.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that for
Nice.
sure.
Yeah. What made you like kind of realize that team, like being part of a team, was important? Because like I know you could basically involve that to like where you work at now. And,
Anything, yeah.
yeah, because like I learned the hard way. I wanted to do everything myself, and I was like, well, if you want to do it right, do it yourself.
Yeah.
But then I learned I can't handle and do everything. You need people
Yeah.
to get stuff done.
Yeah. I think sports helped a lot with that. And I thank my parents for like pushing me and my sister to be in sports. It was like what they always like strove for with us. And it was like, hey, we're going to put you in these like situations where like you have to learn, one, what you're capable of and where you need to grow, and then where people can help you. And like, I don't know if they like thought about it that way, but that's how it came across eventually, was like, even if I never had even touched a basketball, my mom was like, we're going.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice, we're going. And so it was like, you get there and then there's like all these people and there are these coaches who are, one, you walk in not knowing what's going on. So like that's immediate like feelings of intimidation, anxiety, stress. Yeah, like you're so self-aware at that point because you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I might like embarrass myself.
Especially at that age, you're
Yeah.
maturing, and then you hit puberty and all of
Yeah.
that. So honestly, even for guys, that's a big thing too in sports. It's one of those where it's like you get intimidated and stuff, but honestly, it's one of those where with the sport you got to grow with it and
Yeah.
you start adapting.
It's the fear of unknown. Kind of
For
like,
sure.
am I gonna be good at this? Am I not? It's kind of like you get those thoughts in you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think sports helps you approach that in a different way, where it's like you might not be aware of yourself, but you're like, I have to like help my team. So then you're like not thinking too much about yourself internally. You're like, okay, I have a whole team, I have a coach. They're kind of guiding me. Everyone's guiding each other to be better overall. And like you're depending on everyone at all times. And so it's like, you're going to catch the ball. I'm going to trust that you're going to know what to do once you get that ball. And then if I get the ball, I want you to trust me as well. And then like make moves after that. And so I think going forward, it was like, okay, I learned how to do that in so many different settings. Because like after that initial year that she was like, go play basketball, that like grew into so many opportunities. It was like I was playing travel ball. I was playing with a team based out of Westlaco, where if people from the Valley know where that is, we had girls from La Feria, La Jolla, Hidalgo, Westlaco.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
literally everywhere. We came into one team and we would play travel. So we would go to like Laredo and San Antonio. And
Dang, so y'all travel.
yeah, we would travel, but then we would out on the like that was off season, right? But then you go back into high school, we would play each other.
So you would know.
Yeah. I had a teammate
That's
from
funny.
who played in La Feria, so like in the in season, I would play her.
Against her, you defend
Against her,
her.
yeah.
So it's kind of like, man, she's a
But-
teammate, but she's not.
But she's not, yeah. But it's like it was good to like be a way to meet a lot of people and like see their
So
experiences.
do you
based
feel like you
on-
learned a lot more on? Well, I would say competitive. You would be more on the outside of school because everybody's playing at a higher level, right? So I'm
Yeah.
guessing that would be more challenging for you.
Yeah, I think that it was, and
Yeah.
our coaches were very like, I think like a very important part of who we became, because
Like shaped and molded
Yeah.
you into, or help you get to where you're at.
yeah,
I like what you said about like, you know, hearing where like you're doing wrong or like them helping you.
yeah,
Because a lot of people nowadays can't take positive criticism
yeah,
so well, like in a workplace.
for sure.
So like being involved with teams or with just being involved in the sport or anything like that, it literally teaches you how to like, okay, accept
Take
that. Like,
that.
yeah, take
Yeah.
that. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's super important, and that's one of the things I appreciate most about being in sports is because now, in the career that I'm building, I have to be able to accept that, and like have doctors tell me, hey, you didn't do this correctly. This is what needs to happen, and this is how you can get there. And it's like, that's not them attacking me, it's them trying to help me. And I have to be able to accept that and take what they said and find ways to move forward. And so I feel like some people do struggle with that. And it's not like a bad thing. It just takes time to understand where they're coming from and not take it personally and grow from it. Like see it as an opportunity, because sometimes we don't like look internally. And so then we don't know where we like spaced out on or like missed a gap. And if somebody else can like see that and tell us, yeah, then it's like, thank you. Because I didn't see it for myself, but you saw it, now I can grow from it. And that's what sports really taught
That's
me.
great. And
Yeah.
now jumping from sports to now your college career and stuff like that. Of course, you ended up at A&M because
Yeah.
this is where you
There you
found
go.
me.
Yeah.
So how did you end up here? Who brought you to A&M? Did you do all the rituals where you have to go scout out all the schools?
Oh, man.
You had a couple sleepovers? Because I know all different colleges host different things for
Yeah.
students.
Honestly, when I was in kindergarten, we had this thing that's like, they would put your picture in the middle. It would have your name, like I am blank, and it's when I grew up, I want to be blank, 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 blank. So I have like I am Vivian. When I grew up, I want to be a veterinarian, and that's from kindergarten. So I was maybe like what 5, 6 years old, ish. I didn't really know how to get there, and so, like I said earlier, my dad was the first one who went to college. So he's the only one, like, my mom went, but I'm going to say it's a blessing. She had me.
There you
so
go.
she chose to support her family and all that. So she stepped aside and helped, like, raise me as my dad finished. So going forward into, like, a super, like, I don't want to, like, downplay other careers, but, like, a professional career, like, going into being a doctor is like very different than like what they grew up learning. Yeah. And so I had that since I was like in kindergarten. So going into high school and being like, okay, now I need to apply for colleges. Like, how does that best suit me? A&M was the only university at the time in Texas that had a veterinary college.
It's huge.
Yeah, and they're known for it. And I mean, now Texas Tech exists and they have their own veterinary school. But at the time, A&M was the only one. So I was like, I need to get into A&M. Like, if I can get there.
Because there's no other schools that really offer it. So in Texas, at least.
It's competitive too.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. No, definitely. I have a lot of cousins and all that are interested. But like I say, it's a very competitive school to get to.
Yeah.
So.
For people who don't know, I think there's over like 200 medical schools. I think there's only like 30 some veterinary schools.
Oh.
So for us, who only take about 110 plus or minus a few students at a time, that's super competitive. So they're very much looking for like very specific people. And so
Hey,
at the
congrats.
time,
That's
thank you.
awesome.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome for-
No,
Yeah.
honestly,
That's
because
crazy.
like when you hear there's people here that end up just doing like animal science or like they don't get into the actual school.
Yeah.
And it's very different because I feel like here at A&M they teach you sometimes what you're going to see in the field.
Yeah.
And like other schools it's more book like class, and yes you need to learn that because you need to be knowledgeable, but it's best when you also see it like, hey, if this happens, this is how and what to do.
Yeah. No, and I think like in high school I was like, yo, I have one place to go and it needs to be A&M. So I worked my ass off. I was like, I need to be like as good as I can in high school so that when I do apply, I look good. I look competitive.
Did you have someone mentor you through that process? Because not to talk down on the Valley, but sometimes there's not really resources as far as like what degrees will get you what jobs and how to attack each degree for the jobs you're looking for.
So like
You
how
know
did
what I
you
mean?
know what to do to get
Yeah.
it, like
I had actually there was a counselor in my high school and I don't remember her name at this point, but she actually was an Aggie.
nice.
Like graduated from here, went back to the Valley to like counsel for college careers.
Okay.
So she was like our main person to talk to like during our junior and senior year.
Okay.
And I told her and she was like, this is what you need. And it was really just like focusing on your schoolwork, being active in clubs and in sports if or band or
Yep.
literally mariachi, anything.
I was in both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hell yeah. So like
I was a trumpet player.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Hey, that was good, man. Mariachi though.
Yeah, no,
No, for real.
Were
They
you
had
good
good
mariachi
singers.
too?
no.
You're like, no.
They had really, really good
Band?
singers.
No,
No
I
band.
was all
Okay.
sports
Okay.
and like school clubs type
Yeah,
things.
Freddie was
But-
the one out there like a shrimp every summer.
Oh no! Yeah. Oh look, check it out. That's 10 years ago. Yeah. Bam, baby. That's the second time I do it on the podcast.
That's awesome.
He's just like showing off his arms at this point.
Yeah. He's like, I'm
I
gonna
don't
do
have
a
the
quick
guns
flex really quick.
Back then, I had like a little everything. Now it's just like
Yeah. Damn.
Believe it or not, he was a walking stick. At one point.
you gotta say it.
He's like, okay, cut. No, but she really helped with like guiding in terms of like the application first of all, because that's huge. Like you see this like huge application with like 20 pages,
It's
and
like, what do you do?
yeah, you're
Especially-
stressed.
I mean, you were fortunate enough that your parents at least went to college for a little bit, so they at least know a little bit of the applications and stuff. But I
Yeah.
feel like it's definitely one of those where
Well,
it's
it's changed
very.
a lot, too.
Oh yeah, it's changed a lot, but it's
Yeah.
very like it puts a lot of pressure on you. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you don't want to make any mistakes, and you want to make sure everything's right because it's a big jump. It's a big commitment.
That's what happened to me. That's why I never got to graduate. So, like, long story short, there was the financial aid advisor at the pavilion for my junior year gave me the wrong information because I was born in Mexico. And I came over illegally and gave me the wrong paperwork, wrong information. And I was no longer a student for my sophomore year. He pulled out an emergency tuition loan. When I went back to him for help, he's like, I could no longer help you. You're no longer a student at this university.
Whoa.
So then I was like, who do I go to? What do I
Yeah.
do? It was scary.
Yeah.
But I was also like embarrassed because like kind of like that competitiveness that you had, I had that for like schoolwork, band, everything. I wanted to be the best, but I wasn't trying to like impress anybody. That was for me. Like I wanted to be the best. And like I was afraid to reach out for help because I was like, man, like I don't want people to know that like this happened. This is embarrassing. I don't want people to know it's because I'm not a citizen and things like that. But
Yeah.
I'm happy where I'm at now.
Good.
It all turned
I'm
out
glad. Yeah. Things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
weird.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that's another thing of the podcast too, is like just because you're studying a certain career, hey, the past sometimes don't always add up, and sometimes you want to jump ship to better yourself and better your future. So a lot of the times businesses and companies change on a frequent, so it's one of those where you have to just be ready.
Yeah, and there's always like setbacks. Like I was fortunate, like I worked hard in school and like I was top 10% in high school. So I got automatic admission to A&M, which was a blessing in its own. I came here.
What people don't know is like A&M and then the school, like the vet school, it's like you all.
They're
Yes,
they're
yeah,
separate
yeah.
things. So like when I say I came to A&M, I mean undergrad. Like vet school is its own 4-year commitment, its own college that is so separate.
So undergrad A&M.
Yeah, undergrad A&M. I majored in biomedical sciences, and I started and I came here knowing maybe like 2 people who also came from Hidalgo, but it was such a culture shock.
Yes.
It was crazy.
No, yeah.
It was crazy.
We're used to like Hispanics over there. Yeah.
We're the majority.
Yes.
And then you come here and we're the minority.
Yeah.
And it was a huge adjustment to like be around so many people, one, because Hidalgo was like a fraction of the amount of students that are at A&M. And so I was like,
There's more people in the dorms than there.
yeah, no, literally. And it was crazy. And I was like, what am I doing here? Like, how do I get through this alive? Like, it was insane. There was so much pressure. And I was the first to like leave the valley, which was also in its own a whole challenge because it's like the culture
And
is very
I
like,
think you're further from us, so like what?
Oh,
You're closer to
definitely.
7 hours or 6.5?
it was like 6 hours.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Yeah. It's
So
crazy though.
it was so crazy. The first year was insane. I was
Did you
like,
catch yourself going home often? The
well,
first year?
I didn't have a car out here.
Oh.
I had a bike.
Oh.
So like anytime I wanted to go anywhere, I had to like ride my bike. Like I would go to the CVS down University.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, I would like ride my bike there, stuff all like the
All your
snacks and stuff in my
groceries and
backpack.
We used to go on the bus, but I
Oh, yeah.
lived in Walton my first year. So from where the buses were at, walking with groceries all the way to Walton, that's why I was skinny, man. No.
There was no other way though. You got to get groceries.
But yeah, so culture shock, getting into A&M, very competitive, even for the undergrad. So now that you're here, what are kind of some of the things that you went through, and do you think that made you stronger or made you become a better person or anything like that?
Yeah. I think honestly, like I know I said culture shock, but in its own way was super positive because it's like you start meeting all these people who like you would have never interacted with at the valley.
Yeah.
And it's
And they're so different too.
yeah, so
Their
different.
thoughts, their
Yeah.
mindsets.
Even people from the valley that came here, we're like, it's
You
different.
change.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do change. And it was crazy. It was amazing though. Like I wouldn't change it for the world, like coming here versus going elsewhere. It was a beautiful experience, and I think like one, meeting all the different people and like pushing myself to new limits. So like I think freshman year I was very stressed. I was very scared. I was like, how do I get through this on my own? When
I would
I
say, because when I first met you, you were a lot quieter. A lot quieter.
Yeah.
Very
I think I met you
homebody,
at,
just in
like,
your shell.
maybe sophomore year.
Huh?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was at Whitney's.
So
Yeah.
these are some of my OGs, I'll tell you.
The funny thing is that's where it all started.
That's where it's all
That's
started.
Yeah.
when I would get my haircuts. And that's
Okay.
when I told Neff, I was like, hey man, because he was looking at places, I was like, why don't you go check there? And then that's the whole story to that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No.
because I would go because of the bus. Like,
Oh, because it was right there.
It's
Yeah,
right there.
yeah,
Drop
yeah.
off.
yeah, literally. I was like, man, that's the closest one. Sure, why not?
Yeah, no, that's where I met you. I think it was like sophomore year, maybe junior year. It was like in between those years. But I feel like in like growing through undergrad, there were so many obstacles too. Like it was a lot of, I don't know.
Time
Like-
management.
Well, because people don't realize, like, for us, it's not just school. It's, having to learn how to live on our own. Like, and we're not like from Houston or Austin where like parents, or you could go home every weekend because it's close. Even though it's an hour, 2-3 hours away, like for us, it was 6 hours. So it's like having to really get out of your shell and figure out, okay, I'm going to be here. How do I get comfortable? How do I make this my new home? And I feel like a lot of us kind of went through that. Like, but now kind of, were you involved with any clubs or organizations in college?
I was in like the vet med, like student org. And I tried that because I was like, that's what I want to do, right? And I remember, because like obviously I've had this dream of like going to vet school and becoming a veterinarian. And I think it was during my sophomore year, going into like one of the challenges I faced was well, first of all, being here, it really makes you feel like you don't belong here sometimes.
Yep.
And it's so hard to overcome that and tell yourself that you do belong here and you deserve this. And so I remember one year I like was having questions about my classes and my grades. I went to my academic advisor and I was like, "Hey, please help me. Like I really don't know what I'm doing and I need guidance." And she looked at like my transcript and then she straight up looked at me and she was like, "I don't know why you're in the like major that you're in." She's like, "You're never going to graduate in this major and you're never going to become a veterinarian."
Oh.
And I just like I was sitting there like,
Yeah.
It's like
What?
all your dreams were shattered. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's the only reason you came here.
yeah,
It's
and
crazy.
she straight up just like said that, and I had never experienced like such brutal honesty from somebody that like one I didn't
I was
know.
gonna say they didn't even know you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Had like literally first time we met and she was like, "You're never going to achieve what you set out to do." And
It's crazy. Look
to
at you
be
now.
fair, I took that as a challenge.
Yeah. I was like, look at
That's
you
great.
now.
That's
Yeah,
great.
because I was like, "You're really going to sit there and tell me I can't do this? Watch me."
That's great.
Like, let me do my best and continue. And going through, like, I joined the Vet Med Club. I was involved in like some volunteer opportunities and just like trying to also enjoy college. Like, I got to move away from like the home that I knew and make this my home and like grow in it and like also grow in my career and like, okay, what do I do? How can I do better? Talk to other people, not just let the one person that told me no, like,
Definitely.
yeah, define everything. And so I took off and I was like, okay, screw you.
Yep.
Like,
And when she dropped that bomb on you, did she at least tell you why or explain anything to you, or she just told you that you grabbed it and let's go?
she just
Game
said,
on.
she was like, your grades won't ever get you anywhere. And I mean, I can get into that now. I'm in veterinary school now. I graduated with less than a 3.0 GPA.
That's awesome.
For all of you that know, like, this is so competitive and everyone's like, I need to have like a 4.0, blah, blah, blah.
They forget about everything.
It helps. Yeah, it does help. But like the
The
experience
dedication,
and the
the time.
dedication. Yeah.
Yeah, because I personally got to see the dedication out of
Yeah, you saw it.
I personally got to see her going into all her labs, all the
Yeah.
doctors, all the ERs, all the sit-ins, getting out late, going to classes.
Yeah.
I personally got to see all of that. So the fact that she's here sharing all that with us, from someone telling her she's not going to make it, and now you're in California for vet school.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
crazy.
That's
It is.
amazing.
California from the
Cali-
valley.
Dude, I know. Yeah.
Valley to Cali.
Insane.
Yep.
Like,
From the valley to
halfway
Cali.
across the country.
I'm like, what? Because
No.
like Neff said you were coming from California. I was like, all right, cool. Now you're saying you're from Hidalgo. I'm like, wait,
Dude.
Yeah.
what?
It's because I didn't give him any background. I told him, hey, we're going to record this. She's coming from Cali. We're going to record
We're
this
doing
tonight
this, yeah.
because I don't know when I'm link up with her again.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's, I mean, just taking time out of vet school because that in itself's a whole nother
Is-
ball game,
yeah.
I'm sure, which we'll get into that right now.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
yeah, so
'cause-
now in Cali for
Well,
vet school.
Yeah, going into that, so
Some of the processes I guess you got to
Yeah,
get the
so-
acceptance letter.
between the time of being told no, I'm never going to be able to do this, to the point where I'm at now, I said no to her. And I said yes to myself and was like, I'm going to do this. Like, this is what I've planned since kindergarten. And I have like a true love for it. So I'm like, no, we're going to try. We're going to try our hardest. So during senior year, I got a student worker position at A&M's teaching hospital for like small animal
Yeah, the small
clinic.
animal hospital. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually got into the orthopedic department as a student worker. Was just doing like basic things like restocking, like holding for doctors, holding for technicians, holding for vet students. And I was like, this is where I start, you know, like we start learning here and we move forward if we can. And so I was in senior year 2019. 2020 was COVID. I was not done with my senior year. I was going into my spring semester. So I was on spring break, right? That's
Yeah.
how it all started. We
In
got
March? Yeah, no,
yeah,
literally,
we got an
yeah.
extra week, and it turned into like a year.
They called you out. Don't come back.
Yeah, we like
Literally, 'cause
take
nobody knew
off.
what
Go
to do.
online. Go online.
Yeah, and I was like, what do you mean? I'm literally almost done. So it was such an adjustment. And so I remember being at the hospital and having students was like a very big like if for them during COVID. And so at that time, luckily a position for full-time opened up in the orthopedic department. And I was like, I'm applying. I'm here. Please take me. Like, I need this job, but I also love it. And like, I want to continue moving forward. And I was grateful enough to like apply for the job and get the position. So I became like a veterinary technician full-time during my last semester. My graduation was canceled, right? Because COVID. I actually spent it in a total hip replacement for a dog, which was
No way.
amazing.
Yeah.
It was
Well, because you get to see it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like also thinking that you can do that for animals was like nothing that I had ever expected. But there I was, helping the doctors like replace a hip for a dog and having that dog like go on to have a much healthier life. And I was like, whoa, this is insane. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
This is kind of better than graduation, not gonna lie.
Because you were there.
Yeah.
And you see your work
Yeah.
in front of you.
Like,
You're seeing it
you
at its
see
best.
But how
what
did that
happened.
start, like, veterinary? Like, did you always have a love for animals? Like, because you said it since you were, like, a kid.
Yeah, I think so. I think I, like,
You always had a dog growing up.
yeah, my family always had pets, like dogs, cats. We had bunnies, birds, like anything you could think of, we tried to have it growing up. And I think I just like, and I say it now, and I said it going into vet school, is like, we need to be a voice for the voiceless.
Yeah.
And they can't tell us what's wrong. But if we can learn to like learn from them and say, hey, based on what you're doing and your behavior and the way that you're reacting to stuff, like I know what you feel and I can help you. Because at this point, like we domesticated a lot of the animals that we now have as pets.
Yep.
So we chose to do that to animals and breed them and make them into your French Bulldog, your Shih Tzu, your like, you know, all these things.
The
And
different standards
yeah.
and different
And
Now
sizes
there's, like, health, like, because they wanted a dog to look a certain way.
Exactly.
Now they have health issues.
There's so many things. And it's like we as humans chose to do that. So it is our responsibility overall to take care of them. And so I'm like, hey, that sounds awesome. I want to do that. And they're so loyal to us and they deserve everything. Like,
Definitely.
I won't ever argue against that. And so being here at the orthopedic department, I got to see that so much and like how to interact with them and learn from the doctors and our veterinary technicians and our students and being like, this is awesome. Like we got to see so many surgeries. Dogs would come in being hit by a car and seeing them come in that much pain and helping them and knowing how to help them.
I remember her coming in for some haircuts sometimes, and she'd be like, "Oh yeah, I was just in a 4-hour surgery trying
Oh,
to
snap.
trying to fix something, putting wires together." I'm like, "Oh crap!"
So now in vet school, like, do you think you got more experience working where you were at, or are you seeing some of the same thing in vet school, or what's the difference?
I think I'm seeing a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. So I worked in a specialty department, and then I was like, hey, I really want to go to vet school. I did take a gap year for like my own growth because I was like, I don't know that I'm ready. Took a gap year, applied my first time, and my application did not go through.
Oh, snap.
It was crazy.
happened? Yeah.
One of my transcripts like never got through.
You say taking a gap
And it-
year, but you were still working.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's so it's like
It really is.
she said, I was a gap year, but I was working
Yeah.
surgeries and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, you did take a gap year, but I'm sure you learned a lot in that gap year.
No, I did. It was
You're like, wait, professional?
Yeah.
it was experience.
Yep.
And so I applied. My application did not go through. It was devastating because I was like, I put in all that effort to finish the application, pay for it, all the stuff. Didn't go through at all. So I didn't even get looked at. And so it was like, whoa, I just wasted like so much time.
And just roughly, like, you don't have to put the exact numbers out there, but like, how much did it take, like, money wise, just for the application and
Wow.
all those fees, like, just for the initial one where you're like, damn, I didn't even get seen.
Yeah, honestly, that first time, I would say over $500.
That's
And
crazy.
just like applications.
Just paperwork fees, pretty
Yeah,
much.
literally, because
Just submitting.
yeah, depending on the school that you choose to like apply to, there's supplemental applications. There's a like nationwide application. If you apply to schools in Texas, they have their own application. So then there's so many things that you're paying for, and like you have to pay for transcripts, you have to pay for grades, like any other additional supplemental tests that you need to take, like the GRE, you have to pay for that. And so I got not looked at. So then I applied again, and I was actually on the wait list for Western University in California, which is where I'm at now. But the first year I applied on the wait list, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait. Like, I'm gonna see if they call me. We get to like almost August, because they can call you up until before the first week of school.
Like you're just on standby.
Yeah, you're literally just waiting.
I remember those days of her waiting for it.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for a call now. I don't know if it's official.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And it was like, a lot of my friends were like, well, if they call you a week before school starts, what do you do? And I was like, I go. What do you mean? Like,
That's the next step.
Yeah, I was like,
gotta-
this has been my goal. So like, whatever it takes to get there, I'm gonna do it. And so I was just waiting, and they didn't call me.
Yeah.
So I was like, bummed out, but also like, okay, that gives me another year to keep growing. So more experience. What can I change?
You get to meet other doctors, I'm
Yeah.
guessing, and
Yeah.
other techniques.
And so, yeah, I grew within my career as a veterinary technician, which is an amazing field, by the way. If you're interested in vet med, there's more than just being a doctor. It is being the support staff. Like, the amount of things that I did that the doctors did not do, insane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
because
people don't realize that. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same thing with like actual like hospitals, right?
Yeah.
Nurses, like
Yeah,
people
being
that
a
are,
nurse,
they're
yeah.
the ones doing all the
all of that.
yeah, they're the ones doing all the dirty work.
Yeah.
The doctor just comes in,
And
does what they need to
verifies.
do,
Tells you, yeah.
and then they take the credit. Like,
Yeah, and it's like, luckily where I worked, they were super appreciative of like our work as technicians, which is
Goes
amazing.
back to the whole team thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously, we're a team. Like, if they told me to pull blood on this dog, like, I have to take my role in that and do it properly and safely and correctly for this. Yeah, it's like, hey, I understand that we're doing this for the betterment of the animal. Let me do this. Let me get back to you. They make the ultimate choice on like reading the blood work. What's going on? What do we need to change if there's meds or surgery or anything? And so then, but we'd all work as a team. Like in surgery, I used to run the operating table. So all the instruments needed, I knew what they were, and my doctors trusted me to get that ready. And then I would literally just, they would put their hand out.
You know how cool that sounds?
I would
Like-
give it to
like-
them, yeah.
Like I'm like over here, like damn.
He's over
Yeah.
here imagining the surgery
No, I am.
table.
I'm like-
No, it's crazy. Yeah, because they just go like
And you're
this.
on a 2-minute gap line that you have to open and
Literally.
seal this up. And
They're like scalp.
Yeah, no,
Like-
literally, like if you've seen Grey's
Shaver.
Anatomy, that's what that is.
That's literally what I'm thinking about. Grey's
Yeah,
Anatomy. Like,
and that's how it is. And like it got to the point where us as technicians knew the surgery the way that the doctors did. Like obviously they knew a little bit more because they study it and like it's a lot more intense. But like
the flow of
I
things.
knew where they were in the surgery and what instrument they needed and like how to help them. And they were always very receptive to us. And so we were able to like be a team. Like it wasn't like I'm above you or anything. And so anyway, after I got waitlisted, I was like, well, here we go again. Let's do it again. So I applied again to Western University.
why there though? Yeah.
They had a different outlook on education. Okay. So they go by what they call a problem-based learning curriculum. And so it's very different from like your didactic, which is your lectures. So like a lot, like A&M does didactic learning. So you're in a lecture hall, they teach you anatomy, you read about it, you go into your next class, it's physiology, you read about
forget,
it.
Like after a while, like
Huh?
I feel like in that like people forget. In problem based. Like, here's the problem.
They give us, so we see a full case. There's not an actual animal, but they give us a case like 10-year-old German Shepherd presented with XYZ. So then you take that like information and you decide, okay, what do I need to know about German Shepherds? What do I need to know about problem X? What about problem Y? What about problem Z? And so you break it down into anatomy, physiology, pharmacology. You break it down into everything that would be an individual class, into your own.
Awesome. I didn't know.
He's gonna be like, I'm gonna be a vet. It's a lot of stuff, man.
It makes you have that much more appreciation.
When
to
you take your dogs in and they're
Yeah.
actually sitting down looking
Because,
at your dog.
yeah,
and-
people like that do that and take them, that's a family member.
Oh,
like
Oh,
like
for
that's
sure.
the way they see it. So like I feel like you guys don't get that much credit like as you should.
A lot of times they don't.
Crazy.
Yeah, veterinarians definitely are on the side of, are you actually a doctor? A lot of the times. And it's like, we are. And guess what? We don't learn one species, we learn several. Like, I know stuff about dogs, cats, cows, horses, reptiles, birds. Like, they teach us all of that, and we have to know it. Because what if you come in with your horse and then you come in with your dog? I need to be able to treat your horse and then go back and treat your dog versus
be able to change.
yeah,
Like,
versus just treating a person and a person.
And not just that, but you have to know medicines, how much to give
Yeah.
to this or what's
No,
reactive to
yeah.
that.
And that's the thing, is like some people are like, oh, like you don't do that much. And I'm like, you go see individually a dentist, and then you go to a pharmacy, and then you go to a surgeon, and then you go to like a dermatologist. Being a veterinarian, you are all those things at once. You learn
every type of animal.
exactly.
crazy.
It's
No, 'cause-
insane.
'cause as soon as she said dentist, I was just like, man, you're more of a doctor than a dentist. No,
Dude,
no,
no
not trying to.
offense.
Yeah, no offense.
To the dentist.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because that's what I mean. Like I'm
Yeah.
over here like
No,
Like-
it is.
And how long is that
It's crazy.
program?
It's 4 years.
4 years.
At least
crazy.
where I'm at, it's 4 years. Some schools do like full years where you don't have summers off, and you can like finish in like 3 years maybe. And then if you're in another country, sometimes it's a little bit different depending on their programs. But at least where I'm at in California, it's a 4-year program. I do 2 years strict like problem-based learning type stuff. So like I do have lectures now and then, but most of it is like you have a case, break it down, learn what you need to know, and apply all of it at once. Which is, it sounds intimidating, but it is amazing. Like the way to learn.
But it's kind of like what we said. Like the more knowledge you have, the quicker you are to pick up different
Yeah.
different
I
things.
just feel like that's more real world based.
Yes,
That's literally
it
what would
is.
happen. Like, hey, you have this type of animal. This is what's going on. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, give me the information. Let me figure out what we got to do.
Yeah, because when you're when you're in the clinic, like that's what you're getting. You're not getting a book and a book and a book and then put it all together. You're getting an animal who is in its own an entirety, like a whole being. You're seeing like all these problems at once, and you need to be able to receive them, like put it in your mind what's happening, and then translate it into taking care of them.
Just by visuals, because they can't communicate with
Yeah,
you.
it's visuals, and it. I know it's like, oh, is this all about animals? No, it's about it's about people too. Cause like
Oh, definitely.
I know you have a lot of dogs. Like I don't know if you have pets, but if you've ever
I
had
grew
like
up with a lot of dogs.
okay,
Like
you
but
learn
I-
them,
yeah.
right?
Oh, definitely.
You see how they
Like,
act.
you know how they act
Yeah.
or react, or like if something's off. Or,
Exactly. So my job is like, I'm gonna have to go into a room with you and say, hey, what are you seeing? Like, obviously I'm gonna do my exam, but at the end of the day, like I can talk to you with words. So if I know and trust that you know your dog or your cat or etc. And if you can say, hey, like, I don't think that this is right. Like, I have to communicate with you and trust you, and then put that into like the patient, right? And then do my exam and be like, okay, this is what's going on. And so right now I'm a first year, so I'm still learning a lot, and it's been amazing in California. Like also leaving Texas has been a whole trip in its own.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's why I
Yeah.
was like, man, the valley to here to here to Cali.
To Cali,
Like,
yeah.
Because now you have to grow even more.
Yes, it was a
Faster, too, 'cause
huge.
it's a fast pace in California.
Yeah, it was huge. My family, my friends, and like my partner and everyone, like, you know, we talked so much during that time. Like,
Definitely.
how are you getting there and all these things? And it was like, I don't know. We're gonna figure it out. Yeah. And so
And driving, for those of you that don't know, from here to Cali, That's almost like a day and a half, ain't it?
Yeah, it took us a total of like 21, 22 hours. So
What's halfway, like El Paso?
yeah, we stopped in New Mexico. Like as soon as you cross into New Mexico, we stopped.
That's 11 hours from here.
Yeah,
That's legit
literally,
11
like,
hours.
Texas
from here.
is insanely huge, and so it took us one whole day to just get out of Texas.
Yeah, because we have a friend, and she's from El Paso. She came to A&M, and we would always joke around. Because she's like, well, if you guys ever go to California, don't forget to say hi to my parents.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? That's the halfway point.
Halfway point.
Like, basically, right there.
Yeah, it was crazy. And going to California was, I mean, coming to College Station, like I said earlier, it was like I only knew a few people. Going to California, I knew nobody. Yeah, and that was a huge, like,
You barely knew the professors' names on your.
yeah,
on your,
it's like,
on your,
I
on
barely
your
know the
form.
town that I was moving to. I was like, whoa.
What town are you in? Or, like, how's California now? And
Yeah.
what's getting you through
What are the
it?
vibes out there?
I live in Ontario, California. The school that I'm in, Western University, is in Pomona. And so it's like a 20-minute drive from where I live to where school is. I have some roommates, and then like getting to know my class right now, there's 111 or 12 of us.
Okay.
So super small class.
So it
We're all-
feels like high school all over again.
yeah, literally. Honestly, and so we're from everywhere. Like we have people from New York and Chicago, Boston, like California, Texas, Florida, like everywhere, and we're all just there to do the same thing. We have the same goal, which goes back to the teamwork stuff. Like we're in there, we're trying to learn as much as we can, but at the end of the day, we have the same goal, and we're going to be partners in practice. So trusting your classmates that they're learning what they need to learn, I'm learning what I need to learn, because say I work in general practice, but my classmate ends up working in surgery and I need to refer a case to them, I'm trusting that they know what they're doing, because
That's
They
not only
had
your
to go
pa-
through-
That's our patient.
that's
now.
our patient now. Yeah.
What do you want to specialize in?
I'm really interested in small animals, so like dogs and cats mixed with exotics. So if I could find a practice to do both, that would be amazing. But I'm also very interested in surgery, which in itself is a whole other like journey.
Field or
Yeah,
zone.
because when you get out of vet school, you're a doctor. Once you pass your license, right? You're a doctor. You can go like work in general practice. But if you want to be like a surgeon or specifically like a dermatologist or a radiologist, you have to go through internship and residency, which is another like
2-3 years.
More?
3 to 6 years maybe.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's crazy.
To
It's a lot of
specialize
school.
on
It's
To
a lot of
that.
specialize, right? Because
Yeah.
at this point,
Yeah.
they're like,
Crazy.
you know what you're doing, you're a doctor,
Gosh.
but we're going to go, you were here, we're going to take you down. We're going to teach you everything else that
So props for those
belongs.
vets that specialize in
Yes.
something, because
And then like,
that's a whole decade of
yeah,
education, if not
props
more.
to them, and props to the general practitioners
Oh, yeah.
who tried to do a little bit of everything.
Well, anybody
And
who's
it's
made it
crazy.
in the vet field, because
Oh.
it's a small field, and
Yeah.
if you made it, props to you.
It's crazy, but it's super fun, and California's amazing. Like, I always wanted to like be able to live there at some point, and now I have 4 years, which is like, I was telling you earlier, I was like, this is like a long, stressful vacation, because it's like,
It's crazy to me because it's kind of like a dream coming into reality.
Yeah.
The way you speak about like the way you go into detail, the way that you describe like when it comes to like animals, like the work you did, you can see the passion.
Thank
can
you.
see the care. You know, I feel like sometimes people just kind of go with the flow with things. No, like you've had that since you were a kid,
yeah,
and now it's for it to become real. Like
Yeah.
it's awesome.
yeah,
That's
and
That's great. Yeah.
it's been hard, because like we were talking earlier about like the things that you have to sacrifice. It's like I'm so far from my friends and family, and
And that's because
Partner
you're very
and
family
everything.
oriented.
Yeah.
Just knowing you personally, like, I know your family, whenever they
Yeah.
have time, they'll come out here, especially because they're in
Yeah.
San Antonio now. Your sister, too. Her sister, we need to interview her sister. She played
know.
softball for colleges, right?
Yeah.
So her sister is also another person that will pop in randomly to come visit her whenever she had time. So it's awesome seeing that, like, family-oriented people, but for different careers, there are a lot more sacrifices that a lot of people don't see.
Yeah.
And family and friends is definitely one of those, especially living in the United States, because it's so huge. Just going to California, you're talking 21-hour drive. So if you don't really have that communication with that friend, chances are you're not going to be talking to them on a frequent basis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's one of those where it's like, it's hard to keep your friends really close, and then having the distance and all of that, it's a lot harder, and the sacrifices that go in it.
And it's also like finding yourself too. Like, as we mentioned earlier, coming to College Station was crazy. Like, huge change overall. We're so young when we come into college, and it's like we don't really know who we are. And then like you start to find yourself. And so like I feel like a lot of the things that I had was like who am I as like a Hispanic woman in a place where like I'm a minority? And then also like during that time I was learning a lot about like sexuality and like who I was and like being comfortable with that and growing in that throughout the years to where I am now. Like it took a lot, and it took a lot of support, and so like that's finding the people that like stick by you. And you know, like people are always like, oh, it's like a give and take 100%. And it's like, no, because like you might have an off day and you're going to give me 40. And I'll be like, yo, I got you. I'll give you 60. Nice. That makes 100. Like I'm not expecting you to give me all of yourself every time, but like you have that support where it's like, I got you, you got me. And that goes back to the teamwork. Like you're not alone in literally anything. Like look at us right now. You're starting this with your best friend, right? Definitely. You're starting it. You're like, without him, you wouldn't have like your IT guy, right?
And they call me. I laugh because at work I'm the pretend IT guy, and I'm the director of commercial.
Dude, he's got your back.
I'm in commercial real estate.
You have a place to be because he's got a studio.
Yeah.
No, this is
and
all.
Like, you know, like you're helping each other even if you didn't intend to.
No, definitely.
And it's like you feed off other people and like. You grow in yourself too. Like you start learning.
But it's cool to see all these stories because I get what he means now. Like he starts to mention things and I don't know who he's talking about. Yeah. But it's like, dude, like the amount of people you've talked to, the stuff that they've gone through, like that's the reason for this podcast. Yeah. Because like I get it now. Like he saw you through all those years. Yeah, he did. Like so he saw you grow, like develop, become the person you are. And that's just
one of the thousands that I've seen out here.
Literally thousands.
Thousands.
Like because you saw people.
And the reason we started this now is because I feel like I've seen so many people like you come and go from everywhere, all degrees, all even not knowing what they're going to go do, to be honest. Because half the times you graduate with degrees and you don't know where you're going to end up until the application comes in or the full-time offer comes in that you have to sign. So it's one of those where it's just crazy seeing those stories, those people come from pretty much nothing. Because, I mean, the Valley, it does have a lot to offer, but it's one of those where, one of those where you yourself, you have to start. And you're going to start at a certain area.
You can get stuck.
And you have to do that in college because if not, you get stuck. And if you get stuck, you're just going to get washed out like nothing. But seeing these people now on Facebook and on Instagram, I have a whole bunch of tennis players that have gone and started playing in different stuff. Yeah. You, for instance, like, did I know all the detailed background about you? No, but I physically saw the hard work and saw the dedication, saw you put in all the times in the vet places or wherever you had to go do your work at and under whoever you had to shadow, maybe shadowing for free just to learn. Just to learn. So it's crazy all the commitment that I see. And I'm glad my friend Freddie's here able to see all that too, because it's one of those where it's like, what's good if you just hold that back and just have it for yourself? I'm able to learn because of you guys, and I feel like you sharing helps out a lot of people. Yeah,
thank you, man. Thank you for doing this too, both of you. It's amazing. He was telling me about it earlier because I was like, yo, I'm coming into town. Can you cut my hair? And I was like, please. And so he was telling me, and I was like, this is amazing. Like being able to have different backgrounds and different stories is like beautiful.
Because we always say you never know what people are going through.
Exactly.
And if you can share your story, you have no idea how many people you're helping out.
They're doing the same thing.
Without even going through the same thing. They could probably have the exact same story as you. And it's just like, whoa, I'm not the only one.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
And I always ask people this because it's not just the haircut. Like, why do people keep coming back to NAF, right? I think it's more than the haircut.
No,
It's like
for sure. I was telling one of my friends today, like the the vibes, honestly.
Yeah.
The vibes
No,
are
really.
good.
It's a
Like,
chill, cozy
It
place.
is, and it's so, but it's so comfortable. And I don't know that I've ever told you this, but me growing in myself and like being comfortable in like my sexuality and my skin, you helped so much.
Oh man.
Literally
I
just through
appreciate
hair and like talking to me,
Mm-hmm.
because like I was able to like express myself in the way that I wanted to and be comfortable in it because you were there. And like I know people are like, oh, it's just hair, and it's like, no, that's a way to express yourself.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely a big change.
And like for you to, you took so much time. I mean, he sits with me and he's like, your hair does this and it goes this way. And I'd be like, can you cut my hair this way? And he's like, no, it's not gonna work. Yeah. And I'm like, thank you for telling me that and not making me look stupid. Like he's
No,
like,
definitely.
this is how, and like he's always been like very
he
involved.
cared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he cares. He cares. And that's the biggest thing. It's like I haven't found that anywhere, and it's like I feel so comfortable coming in and being like trusting him and then being able to talk about
You don't
literally
feel
anything.
judged. You feel like you can come to somebody.
A
Like,
safe space.
Safe. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Safe space.
And it's so open, like walking in, it doesn't feel intimidating or overwhelmed. Yeah, it doesn't feel like you have to be a certain person in a barbershop or in a salon or like whatever you want to call it. It's just a place to like exist and get your hair cut and be like,
Be
be
whoever you wanna
yourself.
be, yeah.
And like having you also be yourself and like expressing yourself. Like your whole studio is you.
Definitely.
Like it is like
a
exploding.
little bit of all over the place.
No, yeah. Yeah, you do. Like it is, if you know Neff, like it's like he exploded all over the studio. Like
For sure.
and it works and it makes you feel comfortable. So yeah, that's why I keep coming back, and that's why
No, I
we're
really
friends and
appreciate
we're
that.
good and like
Definitely. No, it's one of those too where I feel like a lot of my clients, they'll just shoot me a text randomly. I'm like, oh man, it's good to hear about you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like every random now and then, or I'll be in town this weekend. You got anything open? I'll be like, hell yeah, just swing by.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I try to make everybody feel at home just because I feel that because I get to hear the stories and I know where people come from. So it's like, what am I going to be doing, giving you more stress, talking about other stuff where it's you time when you're on my chair, you know what I mean? So for me, I feel like just having that time one-on-one with my clients and relating to them. And sometimes I don't got all the answers, but hearing your guys' story, I don't name drop, but sometimes I can always be like, well, I had this one client that this happened to them and he ended up going here and they helped him out. You know what I mean? So just stuff like that. It's always one of those, or just like you said, listening, making someone feel good about how they look, because I feel like when you come here, like you said, you're lost. You don't know what you're doing. When you're 18, you come in and you're having fun. You're going with your friends, whatever. Once you hit junior, senior year, that's when you're like, okay, crap, I got to get my life together. I need to figure out my haircut. I need to start applying for internships. This mullet has to go. You know what I mean? Like your whole perspective, your mind starts changing. I get to see that. Plus, I get to put my inputs with your hair, because sometimes your hair's not going to work out the way it looks on Instagram or on Facebook. So sometimes I have to be like, well, we got to switch that up. But it's awesome that I get to sit back and look at all that and actually hear people like say like they're appreciative for that, because I feel like I'm able to not just see people but mentor them in different ways. I know I'm not a counselor, but honestly, that's what barbers are. I feel like we're unpaid counselors
Therapist. Yeah.
and therapists, and I feel like sometimes we don't got all the answers, but just having that open ear and just absorbing their frustration honestly helps them out, because I feel like they get to detox and
for sure.
you just get to be yourself, like you said.
Yeah. And you can like changing your hairstyle,
Oh, yeah.
like depending on like where you are in life,
Definitely.
like also changes. Like
Changes, it definitely does.
like you've seen me go through so many hairstyles.
Definitely.
Like I've grown it out, I've kept it short, like we've changed it.
Pictures now.
I don't know if she wants to drop those, but I'm sure we can
I
find
know.
them.
'Cause he was like, how long are you gonna actually grow it out for? And I was like, we'll see. Like, we probably got to like here, and I was like, please
Chop it off.
chop it off.
Chop it
Please
off.
chop it off.
That's
Yeah.
funny because I already knew. I was like, she'll be back next
She's
week.
like,
No,
no.
but it's fun seeing you grow and see you to where you're at
Thank
now.
you.
It's very amazing, and I commend you for that, because
Thank
like
you.
you said, even when you had someone shatter your dreams in front of you, you're like, Now you're gonna take that.
Yeah.
It as a challenge.
Took
Yeah.
it as a challenge, and you kept running with it. That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's like, honestly, so many things in life are not as personal as you think they are. Like, it might be someone reflecting, it might be someone thinking that that's what they need to say to you, but it's up to you how you take it. So if you say, hey, this is super personal and I'm gonna like start digging a hole, like, you're in a way, like, you can make that choice to say, how can I get from where I'm feeling now to make that better? And it takes a team, like, it takes people.
And so sometimes if you feel like someone's telling you something, just stand in their shoes real quick, take a step back and be like, okay, I know he told me with this firm voice, but is that the way he meant it? Or is just that his demeanor because he has to be that way because he has other things to do. So he needs to get straight to the point and make you better. So I feel like just taking a step back, maybe stepping in their shoes, because I feel like that happens to me sometimes because it's like I was raised in a little older generation. So for me, I'm more of a direct, like, you need to do this, this, and that, and that's it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm no beating around the bush and all that. So for me, it's like I'm more direct. So that's why when people come to me, like, I'll tell you how it is. It's gonna work or it's not gonna work. Yeah, I'll tell you how it is. So it's one of those where I feel like I'm more direct because of the way I was brought up and how I was raised. So if I ever rubbed to you the wrong way or you felt more direct about anything that I've said, that's just me personally. I'm sorry about it. But that's just me being me, to be honest.
It's just that tough love. Like,
the tough love,
people don't get that.
And I feel like the younger generation now, they're kind of taking it a little bit more meaningful, but I feel like the tough love where we were raised is more direct. So
Yeah, and it's just learning what that means from different people. Because, like, yeah, being the newer generation, it is very different than like what you were raised on versus me versus like someone who's just now starting college. And it's like being able to take that and yes, take a step back, like you said, and being like, where are they coming from and why? And how can I change that into like what I need to do? But you have to like reflect and you have to like maybe talk about it.
definitely
or, like,
talk about
yeah.
it, communicate. Or if it's something where you're like, I felt like that was kind of rude, address it
Ask
to
a
them.
question,
Yeah,
yeah.
ask them. Be like, well, why do you feel like I had to? Why you had to tell me like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
like
that's
what-
very important.
I like what we were saying was like you can dig a hole or like get out of it and figure out what you need to do.
Yeah. And like knowing that you don't have to get out of that on your own.
Oh, definitely.
Like there's so many people who can like help you and like being able to lean on them and like not see that as like weak. Like that's so strong to like depend
awesome.
on your people.
And I personally feel like you kind of learned that from your parents too.
Yeah.
Because like how you said, like your mom had you, so she had to take a step back. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like she didn't have to, but that's what they
They
decided to
decided
do, and she
together.
decided to.
Yeah.
This is my role. This is what's gonna happen. So I feel like you take a lot of that based on how your parents are. And
For
stuff
sure.
like that, how
They
raised
definitely
you.
taught a lot of good life lessons and I praise them for it and I'm blessed that they like their background shaped
They're
them.
Cowboys fans.
They are Cowboys fans.
What's wrong with Cowboys fan? Man, I'm wearing the color right now.
It's a very sad story.
It's a very sad story.
Cowboy fans.
Dude, yeah, I starts crying.
I'm a 2%er Cowboy fan.
Okay.
Damn.
Because I'm in Texas. Come on.
No, they die hard.
We are.
Oh, really?
Die hard.
It's like sad seasons over and over. But you know what? We're still there.
Going to the Super Bowl.
I know, yeah, every year.
Everybody
But
says it.
Which that gives you another hope. I'm kidding.
I don't know about that. False hope, but specifically with the Cowboys.
I guess that pretty much wraps up this segment, this podcast, and I'm gonna go ahead and let Vivian wrap this up with any final thoughts and any words that she has for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what I've learned over the past few years and like with all the struggles and like growing up where I did and like moving forward in my career and like as a person, the biggest thing that I like take away is like be yourself. Like find who you are and do that with yourself and do that with the people around you and like grow in that. And if you think like, hey, I might feel this type of way today, like maybe reflect on that and be like, why am I feeling that way? Do I need to talk to someone? Do I need to talk to myself? And like, be comfortable. Love yourself. Love the goals that you have. And I know some people are like, this is kind of cheesy, but like, you are only here one time, honestly. And so like, do what you want and make it meaningful and make it fun. And follow your career, but like take time for yourself and the people that you love. And
What would you say to yourself?
good job. Honestly, yeah. My dad sometimes says, you know, we're Mexican, and if you break the word down, it's Mexican.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're a Mexican, not a Mexicant. And he's like, you can do whatever you set your mind to. Lean on yourself, lean on your people. And like, honestly, like if this was myself in 10, 20 years, like I'm proud of you. And like, thank you for doing what you did and choosing yourself a lot. Because it's hard. Because you leave your family, you leave your friends, like,
Sacrifice.
it's hard. Yeah, there's a lot of sacrifice, but it's worth it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good job.
Dude,
That was a wrap, bro. I'm telling you, bro, they're gonna get better and better.
I don't even think I'm gonna have to edit it.
Oh my God.